Look at this. He hasn't even fucking.
He hasn't moved, has he?
No, he hasn't. Here we are, everybody. Welcome to Good Willow
Hey,
Hunting.
everybody.
Hi, everyone. This is a show where we take Cody, a film critic who really can't be a film critic per se because he's never seen Eddie and the Cruisers 2. So because of that, because
he's had to fake his way through many
he's had to
conversations.
fake his way through many Eddie and the Cruisers. And Eddie and the Should we do an Eddie and the Cruisers 1 and 2? Cody, is that a veto? Are you going to put your foot down at the, or are you even familiar with? Have you even heard of Eddie and the Cruisers?
I have heard of it. I did not know that there was a sequel.
Eddie Lives.
Eddie lives.
We've talked about this before, but worth it alone just to hear a Bruce Springsteen cover band get to write their own song. On the dark side, oh no, on the dark side. That is literally like. Do you think Springsteen is? Do you think he just rolled his eyes? Because at that point he was already a legend.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit.
You think it was like
if he was on his way up, he would have cared.
Right,
but he was where he was. He was like,
okay,
"You guys have fun.
Nice song.
Yeah,
whatever.
We'll see how this stands the test of time."
Right. And here we are talking the Stanley Kubrick, his second war movie, I believe. His first one was Paths of Glory.
Yeah.
And then now we have Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket.
One thing I completely forgot about. This was his second to last movie. It was The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, Eyes Wide Shut. That's it.
Really?
Yep.
I
that
didn't
was
know he
it.
had nothing between Full Metal Jacket and Eyes Wide Shut.
Nothing. It was
Wow.
that was it. If I'm not Mr. Cody, am I right there? I think I am. I think that was it. I think it goes Shining, Full Metal Jacket, and then Eyes Wide Shut.
I have to check on that because Full Metal Jacket was 87.
87.
Yeah.
And then Eyes Wide Shut was like 99, I think.
2001 or 2000? Was
Yep.
it 2000?
2000. No, it came out in 99.
No, because he died in
90.
90. He died in the late 90s.
Yeah, he died in 99.
Well, it had to be
I think.
99 because I was in California, I think, when that movie came out.
Right,
I
when
think.
you're probably just gotten here, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet you
97,
just-
98?
Yeah. I think so.
Let's see.
But I really think that was it, man. I think that was his.
Wow.
That was almost. it for
You
him.
can't blame him because, I mean, those movies are so dense and heavy.
Oh God.
I couldn't imagine spending a year filming one of those films.
And then right back to it.
And then wanting to go back to work anytime
Yep.
soon.
This movie, Full Metal Jacket, was supposed to be a Holocaust film. That was his initial idea. He wanted to do a Holocaust film after The Shining.
Yeah.
And then that fell apart a little bit. And then he's like, well, shit, let's do Vietnam. And they found this book. I forgot the name of the book. But they were like, this is the book. Let's make this. And that was Full Metal Jacket. And then he was going to do a Holocaust movie after Full Metal Jacket. But then Schindler's List came out. He's like, well, fuck it. And then
Could you imagine a
Kubrick
Holocaust
God,
film?
That would have been.
Ooh.
That would have been, man.
Ooh.
Jesus, I could, but yeah, I think that was it, right, Cody? It was Shining, Full Metal Jacket, yeah, and then Eyes Wide Shut,
That's
and that
nuts,
was
man.
it. Yeah. And so many. Let's just get into it, Cody. Your thoughts on Full Metal Jacket?
Well, I will say this: there's going to be some minor complaints that come up,
Sure.
but it is not meant to detract from what is an amazing movie.
It is, isn't it?
It's incredible, and it's. And the complaints that I have are somewhat nitpicks, but also mostly structurally,
right.
Which we'll get into in a little bit.
Yep.
But, essentially it's a movie. Part of the problem is that it feels like two separate movies to me.
It is.
It is two separate
It is.
movies,
It really is. I think it is, yeah.
And I think I'll explain when we get into what I didn't like, how that sort of impacts it. But, the first half of the movie I think is super engaging and a completely rough watch, and kind of brutal. I mean, I was surprised by not only how brutal it is, but also sort of like weirdly relevant today.
Oh my God, yes!
Like when you're talking about toxic masculinity as a theme,
yes,
like never more,
Yep.
relevant than now. Which I find.
Oh my God, Gomer Pyle that's a proud boy in the making, isn't he?
Yeah, but if you realize I've had a few friends and my brother go through the armed services, go through boot camps.
Right.
I've had 2 friends go be Marines. I've had 3 friends and my brother in the Army, and especially the Marine on Parris Island. My buddy went through it, and they literally, I watched him go in right after high school, and then 2 months, 3 months later, come back, and there's nothing there.
Right.
They're still there. You still see them a little bit, and it took him like 3 weeks of me hanging out with him to like see the old guy.
And isn't that what they talk about in the bunker after joke when the guy says the 1,000-yard stare?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's
like,
all my friends. Both my friends that went through the Marine boot camp at Parris Island had that 1,000-yard. they would come back, and I was still in college, and they had gone through boot camp, and they came and visited me in college, and we took them to a party, and they just sat there on the couch, like not knowing how to react.
Right.
Because they go into that boot camp, and they strip them of everything.
Everything. But here's what's fascinating about the Gomer Pyle character is the first time you see him, he's got that stare when he's just getting his head shaved.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like,
he was already a defective human being going into that.
I didn't even think about it until when I saw the movie again. Like, you know, when I first saw it, I loved it. When I thought it was great, then I see it again, and then that opening, I was like, wait a minute, he already's gone.
Yeah.
Pyle's already gone. That scene where they're shaving his head at the very beginning, he's already kind of got like this.
Yeah. His boot camp was everyone else's Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like he was already going through boot camp when he got to boot camp, and his boot camp was Vietnam.
Fuck, it was. Yeah. I mean, man, so carry on, Cody. Keep going.
I think I was reading a little bit about the movie too, which leads me to talking about Arlie Ermy in the movie.
Oh my God! Isn't that funny that he basically rode that character for 2 decades?
He cashed that cow.
He did.
And I was wondering, Cody, what you were going to think of that, because now it is parody. Right? Yeah. Like, he was hosting a History Channel. Like, who do you think is the toughest koala bear? You know, like, it was just like he was on Animal Planet. You think a bullet ant hurts the most? And so you think, like, well, now that you've seen this beaten to death, did it, you know what I mean? Like, was it.
Jack!
Right.
What are you doing? What is your major malfunction?
You get off this
fucking table right now.
Oh, we scared him, the poor guy.
I think it's just an authenticity thing where, like, so if you read a little bit about the movie, he, in particular, did 2 things that Kubrick usually never did, which was, one, Arlie Ermy made up most of his dialogue.
50% of what he said was all ad-lib, and Kubrick hates that.
He knew it.
He knew it.
He could be more authentic than Kubrick could ever be.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what Kubrick said. Kubrick saw him and was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the other piece to that, too, is that apparently he did most of his stuff in like 2 to 3 takes, which, again, was
Kubrick takes like 80.
Yeah. And so you knew that this guy arrived fully formed. Yep. And that's why it's so authentic, because you can tell, like, some of that stuff, and I think some of the people that you see later in the movie, it feels like acting. It does not feel like acting with Arlie Ermy. It feels like that is, like, you don't see the guy acting at all, I don't think.
No, you don't.
Even like D'Onofrio, who's great, you can see acting.
Yes.
Arlie Ermy is truly terrifying in that movie.
And you know what's a funny thing I read about that? He had to explain to Kubrick what a reach around was. When he said that line, they had to explain to Kubrick what a reach around was. And you don't even have the common decency to give him a reach around. Like, it's just, and I remember thinking, like, he played it like it was I don't know, it is, because, like, you understand kind of why Pyle has that smirk on his face at the beginning, because he's almost just the most insane insult comedian. That boot camp guy. Like, it's just like, I mean, the shit that he does, and at first you think it is okay, but then, man, the way he just keeps doing it, it goes from kind of funny at the beginning for me, then I'm like, oh, then you realize, oh no, this is horrific what he's doing to these guys. Like, this is shit, this is like, and then of course you see, and to that point that Cody said, later on when you see the next guy in charge, when they find all the dead bodies, that feels like a pale imitation of Arlie Ermy's character. Yeah. And it's the guy from A Price Tag's a Heavy Thing to Live With, from Empire Strikes Back, that guy. Yeah. Remember when he plays, what are you doing with that peace symbol on your jacket? You know, and then like, it's like that's almost a point. I mean, you need the scene for Joker to explain the duality of man line. Right. But it just seems like that looks like a pale impersonation of what we saw. You know what I mean? It almost
you're trying to match what Arlie Ermy did, and you can't.
That scene almost doesn't work.
That just shows you how authentic his performance was.
Right. It's like, it would have been better if another grunt was like, "Hey man, what's with the peace sign and the Born to Kill?" Like, it would have been better than to have this guy. What's with that? You know, and you're just like, man, I am not scared of you.
Yeah.
You
know, after what I just came through.
After what this guy. Yeah. I am not frightened by this guy at all. But yeah, so keep going, Cody, on your likes and dislikes.
Yeah, and again, I think it does a great job of showing the slow breakdown of Pyle, and sort of and he just watching him slowly snap. And I was surprised by how, like, rough it is, because it's a brutal depiction.
It is, man. It is like one to another point too. It's like, Oh God, that I think almost as harsh as the soap in the towel scene was. I think it's almost as brutal. Is just, and man, D'Onofrio should have gotten an Oscar just for the look on his face as he's eating the donut while everyone else has to do push-ups because of him. Like, he knows but he can't. It's just, oh man, like that was like, oh God, that scene was fucking. Brutal. It was just brutal. Like, and then leading up to the soap, and then I think another amazing moment in the soap thing is the way Matthew Modine doesn't want to,
snaps.
and then he snaps and just fucking unloads.
Because Modine's trying to help him along.
Yes,
the
and
whole
he's like,
time, and he's like, "You keep fucking it up for all of us, and I'm trying to help you, and you don't learn."
Do you know
and
that?
Snaps.
Do you know Modine got D'Onofrio that role?
Oh, he did.
Yep. They were already filming the Vietnam stuff, and they weren't doing the training camp yet, and they still hadn't cast Pyle. And Modine said, "I have a buddy who's great," and D'Onofrio had to put on 70 pounds for the role.
He does that a lot.
I know.
Wow.
Right? And he did it. And apparently Matthew Modine said they hated each other. He goes, I love him. We're great friends. We were great friends then. We're great friends now. But the scenes, because they came from two different schools of acting, and the scenes where he's like instructing him on the boots and on the rifle, he goes, it worked, but literally in between takes, we wanted to beat the living shit out of each other. Like, they, for whatever reason, the way they were approaching how, like, having him, talking him over, climbing the thing and all that.
Right.
Like, he was like, we were ready to fucking kill each other, which is fascinating.
I love when that happens in movies, when you read about that. Like, my favorite instance of that is reading about What About Bob? And how Richard Dreyfuss hated Bill Murray.
Oh, I could
and it adds
totally
so
see
much
that.
to that movie.
It makes it part.
I mean, Dreyfuss hates everybody.
He does, man. Like, but that is like what I thought D'Onofrio did so well is like, dude, anyone who's ever felt insecure about anything, God, does it show in the obstacle courses. Yeah. Like that. I mean, I think that's some of the best acting ever is just the way he freezes when he's climbing the top, and he just, even before Modine helps him, but that first time when he just can't even do it, and he's
being
like
berated.
Yes, and oh God, and then the way fucking he just snaps on the pull up. Are you fucking kidding me? You can't do one fucking pull up pile. Like, it's just like, dude. When I saw that, I thought, if I have kids, they're never entering sports. They're never doing any of this shit. Like, fuck.
And I think it has a great narrative structure where you, like, by the end of it, you kind of think that it's coming around for Pyle.
Yeah.
And then it just undercuts it.
Because when it's weird how. Hartman, I think was the name, wasn't it? Early Emery's character, when he comes up to him and says, "You might make a soldier after all, Pyle," whatever. When he has a perfect aim, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe. Like, and it is interesting too because it kind of shows you in a way how that scene, that moment. Also, I mean, he still insults him, but the way he says it, it kind of pulls back the curtain a little and goes, "Oh, this is kind of a bit." The drill instructor, right? Like, this is kind of there's a little bit.
There's a reason he's doing this.
Right. He's really not this much of a fucking psycho.
But it's too late because they already broke him.
God, that is, and it's funny that the Pyle murder suicide scene is creepy, is right up there with anything in The Shining for just a creepy, just the look on his face. Oh, and then the way I think one of the creepiest images I've ever seen in a movie is when he just starts to, left shoulder, and he's just in the bathroom flipping around. That you're like, oh, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah,
like that is, oh man, fucking unbelievable. And
so, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So then we get to the second part of the movie, which is entirely a Vietnam story.
Yes.
And I think I went back and forth on which I think is better, because I think the Vietnam part is really good, but it's also the part that feels like I've seen before.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Vietnam commentaries. I've seen.
I mean, you saw it with.
Apocalypse Now had already come out. Yep.
Yeah, or like even a War is Hell thesis that goes on. I mean, I think.
That.
Yeah,
but not to see boot camp where it's like, these are our guys and we're doing this to ourselves.
To our children.
These aren't the enemy. Children. These are the kids.
Yeah, these are our little kids that we're doing this.
It was definitely different.
And I don't mean to detract again from the Vietnam part, because I think it's really effective, and I think that's where Matthew Modine has some. His character comes alive a little bit.
Yep.
Especially. Like I really like the approach to like the sarcasm that his character has. There's one line in an interview that I can't like he's giving an interview to I think a TV
Yep.
TV station.
Yeah.
Do you remember that line that's really sarcastic that he gives?
Where I just wanted to go and meet people of an ancient and old culture and kill them. Yeah,
Yes.
Yep. I mean,
that's the best line of the movie.
Well,
Yes.
Matthew Modine in the
Yes.
first part, because he's a reporter,
Right.
like a journalist. So it's basically you're watching boot camp through a journalist's eyes. He's sitting there,
Right.
He's watching what's happening.
Yep.
And
Yep.
basically, you're the audience, and he's reporting to you what's happening.
And then in the second half, it's the other way around.
Yes.
Now you're watching him and what he's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that. I don't know that works.
Yeah.
And I'll again I'll get that into that in a minute. But yeah, the way that so there's that scene towards the end of the movie where they're all kind of getting taken out by a sniper and you realize
the climax
who the sniper is.
Yeah.
That scene. So I got the 4K Blu-ray of it.
I bet it's gorgeous.
It looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I really like that sort of like low to the ground camera angle that they have as they're going through like the battlefield, like when they throw the smoke bombs and stuff. It looks incredible. I think it's shot really well.
By the way, I mean gorgeous as in it looks really
The slaughter of human beings.
yeah,
looks
that's not gorgeous. But Cody, one thing I think I want to say to the point of we've seen that before, which we have, but I think that just goes to show you how amazing Kubrick is, because to me, we've seen it all before, but goddamn, each scene was so fucking tense, and it does, and it's almost like watching a comedian today write a hilarious joke about airline food. Right? Or like some beaten to death premise and they fucking nail why do women have to go to the bathroom at the same time? But they actually write this brilliant joke about, and you're like, man, yeah, we've been here, but fuck, it just like it really
Well, and there's something to be said for like perfect execution of a simple idea too.
Yes. Yep. It was dude, that fucking everything about that second half of the movie, I think it's just so tense. And I think my second favorite line is when Matthew Modine, when they announce that we're all under attack now, and he goes, "Oh, so Anne Margaret's not coming." Like that little where he's just he's like this weird anarchist in the middle of all this, right?
He does become the Joker.
He does become the joke. Like it's funny, it's weird, like how. And
he's
it's
detached a little bit from
everything. He really does. Like the only time he shows any emotion is when Cowboy dies.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And it's and then that's when he tries to be something he's not. And I think it goes back to if there's a theme, I think the theme could be toxic masculinity. Because look who the sniper is. And you know what I mean? It's like it's right there. It's a little girl. The sniper's like a 15-year-old girl. Like it's like, and the way that he tries to be tough, right? When the guy from Firefly, the heavy gunner, is like, let's go get payback, and you see him like, okay, yeah, and he can't even do that, right? The minute she opens fire on him, he drops his gun, he freezes. It's like it was really interesting how.
A lot of that stuff rings true today. It's crazy how timeless that film really is. And his film is 40-some years old. 40, and
I think that final shot is so poignant of just because in a weird way too, you also see that it's almost like the Lord of they're just children. Yeah. What are they all doing? They're singing the Mickey Mouse theme song as they're walking from a burning city. They're all just MICKEYMOUSE. Like that is like these are just kids. Like it's just fucking. Yeah. Oh man, it's so well done. So go ahead. Well,
I was going to add too that I think the angle of the reporting is maybe the thing that gives it the slight difference than other Vietnam movies, in that the angle it takes is like look at the like we were talking about toxic masculinity. Look at the projection that everyone has about wanting to be get famous and then be seen and then show off like how like the guy who's gunning down people and saying you should do a story about me.
Oh my, yes, that's one of the most horrific scenes because what I love. Oh God, what's so great. Thank you. I'm so happy you brought that up because I forgot all about it. First off, that actor was going to be the drill sergeant.
Oh, was he?
And he was so good, even though Ermey was on another play, that Kubrick had to find a role for him because he was like, "Nah, we got to keep this guy in here somewhere." But that scene is so horrific because you don't know what he's doing at first because you don't see anything. You just see trees, right? You're like, at first I'm like, is he shooting at animals? Is he shooting at? And then you finally get his perspective, and it's just fucking villagers who aren't even armed, and he's just mowing them down. It's like, oh my God. Like, this is fucking, oh man, that scene. was like, "You get it as Jack, you bastard!" Like it just that I thought that was so well executed.
Yeah.
Of just like, oh shit, like, and then, but to Cody's point, it is interesting too how every time they say they're from Stars and Stripes, everyone perks up. Whoever they're talking to is like, oh, you're Stars and Stripes. Oh, hey, well, do you know what I did? Like, yeah, they all want that recognition. It's fascinating. It's that movie is
Well, let me get into quickly what I think doesn't work. And again, this is not necessarily a criticism that undoes anything.
Right.
But it does feel like two separate movies to me.
It should be Full Metal Jacket Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Right.
It should. And I think that the big difference maker is that if this were a movie where this was following Matthew Modine's character the whole way through, it would make more sense. But I don't think that Matthew Modine's character is any kind of focal point in part one. So you say the journalist, Eddie was talking about the journalist piece. And the thing about that is that you don't find out he's a journalist until
the end of this,
the last 5 minutes of part one.
Yeah.
So he's not the focal point. That first part is about Pyle and sort of about Ermi and that. And I think Matthew Modine's just so if it was Matthew Modine's story and you see his journey from boot camp to being in Vietnam, that makes sense. But it almost feels like two different movies making two separate points about two different things because Vietnam is no part. Is in part one, but it's all of part two. Right. So if anything, it just feels a little bit disjointed in that it feels like it's two separate movies, but they're two great movies. It just doesn't feel like a cohesive thing to me.
What I think glues it together is the toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Because what happens at the very beginning of Matthew Modine's, I guess, true arc, right, is he goes, man, I wish I were in this shit. I'm bored here. And then the minute they get attacked, he's like, maybe they're just fucking with us, right? Like he does not want to be there, right? Well, the minute they get under attack.
And also maybe you have two different things because he's, I don't know if Kubrick's doing this intentionally or not, but trying to show like, no matter what you go through in boot camp is never going to prepare you for what actual war is.
You're not going to be ready.
These are two totally separate things. No matter what they put you through in boot camp, it is never going to be a simulation for what you're about to experience.
I think one of the best instances of that is when they're all walking when he joins up with Cowboy's crew and they all are walking, they get under fire and you just see that one guy in the front just collapse and start convulsing and you're like, oh fuck. And then the other guy, the leader who picks up the doll that's a booby trap, that stuffed animal, and then just explodes. And that was just like, oh, fuck. Like there's it. Oh man. And
nothing in boot camp prepares you
for that moment. And one thing that was a Kubrick, he swears it was a massive accident, but I'll believe him. But I think it's still fascinating because you know me, I love when a creator like Tarantino, how all their shit ties together. Yeah. When Cowboy is dying, behind him, a building on fire looks just like the monolith from 2001. It's fascinating. There's just this big black standing rectangle.
He did that on purpose.
That's burning. It's just this black rectangle that's right behind Cowboy.
Everything in the shot
just
is
burning.
Intentional.
Right, and he was like, he swears it was just an accident. He's like, oh no, I didn't. But I think that is interesting in a way
like
because
Kubrick.
Come on,
he's intentional in everything he does.
Everything he does. I mean, he made him do 2 takes of the blood spilling out of the elevator in The Shining because he didn't like the way it shot out in take one. So, and I think it is interesting because when you see the monolith in 2001, it's after those cavemen things learn how to kill.
Yeah.
That's when they use the bone as the weapon, then they see the monolith. And it's interesting how in the middle of a war, boy, there it is, just burning bright, burning nice and bright right there. Here's our little fucking evil. Yeah. Like it was, man. God,
it's intentional.
It has to be, right? He says it was an accident. I just
Nothing's
don't know
an accident. No director has a frame set up and there's something burning in the background. He's like, don't worry about that.
No, I want that thing to be black and rectangular. Go. Like that is like, of course. Like it just, I don't know. It's one of those movies I like it more every time I see it.
It's a great film.
It just hits me more like, man, this is, and it is.
But what could make this film greater?
Oh, let's get into
is if we traded some cast members.
Real quick, Cody. Let's go the grade. Your grade on Full Metal Jacket.
A- for this.
I'm gonna go A.
Yeah, it's A. It's A.
I go
movie
A.
For me.
I go A. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It is two. Not complete. It is two different movies that are right there, and something would have if they just added an extra half hour to boot camp, and an extra half hour to Vietnam, and just did like a Matrix.
Volume 1, Volume 2.
Yeah, like Volume 1
Kill
comes
Bill.
out, and then
or
3.
if it was like a mini series.
Yeah.
It'd be a great
man.
miniseries. It probably
Oh
would
my
be if it was
God.
made today.
That would be, yeah. But fuck, it was. Oh, and then one other thing, how brutal was just the sniper picking off the two guys. Just god damn, like when she shoots the guy in the foot, I was like, oh, enough. Like let this poor guy just fucking. Oh man, but god damn, it was so good. All right, so A-, 2 A's. Let's get into trades.
Now, off the top of our heads,
Yes.
we're thinking Sloth for Pile.
Sloth Pile. That
if you switch them,
it enhances both movies.
there's no loser in that trade.
There's no loser in that trade.
I have a slightly different Pile trade.
Okay.
Ooh,
all right. Oh,
okay.
whoa.
I wanted switch Pile with Data.
Then
I wanna see-
none of the Goonies come out alive.
None of them make it. He just kills them all in the house before the mom shows up. He just kills them all.
And then he waits and kills the mom.
But also imagine Data in boot camp.
Data in boot camp would have been. Oh my god, dude! They do the soap thing on him, and then like this little contraption, like a giant pillow, just
Pops
comes out that just blocks everything.
Or he used to get up the thing, he uses like a grappling hook to get up the
Yeah, he
I think
breezes through boot camp.
I think I'm in on this.
Data breezes through boot camp. It's not a challenge at all.
Yeah, I'm all about this. Like he just like these Inspector Gadget giant legs just come out, so he just steps over that thing they're supposed to climb, and then
Although I get the idea that Data would not have fared well in war.
No, in Vietnam, I don't think he would have worked. I don't think Pinchers of Power would have worked in Vietnam.
oh fuck, so that's a good one. I like this Data for Pile. That's a good trade right there. I can see that
see
working.
that could work.
And I think Mouth for Joker's a wash.
Yeah.
I think that's you can right. That's Mouth.
No, I don't. I think he would have gotten in more trouble in boot camp.
Yes, he would.
I don't think he would have gotten through
right,
boot camp
right. He would
as clean as Modine did.
No, you're right. He would not have.
He would have had some good cracks in Vietnam.
Yes,
for
he would have.
sure.
Oh yeah.
He would have
oh
owned
man.
Vietnam.
Oh, he would have owned it. He would have just owned it.
What about putting Chunk and Arlie Ermy?
Oh,
Or even what about Sloth and Arlie Ermy?
that would be.
Well, we were
ooh.
thinking Mama Fratelli and Arlie Ermy.
But
Oh,
Sloth
that
makes a
could
lot
work.
of sense to see Sloth be a drill instructor.
Yeah.
Who's not terrified of that guy?
because no one knows what the fuck to do.
Right,
No
how
one
do you-
understands him.
how do you just-
So no one's doing anything right.
Man, this is this is perfect for trading. This is we are now coming up with so many things we're putting into ESPN's trade machine right now. Like, does the trade work? Does it get approved?
Oh.
I mean, man.
And I think put Kubrick to direct the Goonies.
Oh, hey, I'm in. I think it
you're
solves
seeing
Cody's problem.
I think you're seeing a character study in 7 kids devolving out of society. I think you're seeing
turn
Lord
on
of,
each
the,
other.
Lord of the Flies,
Lord of the Flies.
treasure hunting.
The fucking girl who makes out with Sean Astin just kills herself when she finds out it's a kid. This is slow burn. She just becomes more and more detached. Like she purposely just sits there. Once they all get through the gate, through the little bridge, she just purposely plays the wrong note and dies.
Well,
You
she's
know,
already
they're all like,
fucked up.
"What
She's
the
already
fuck?"
fucked up from seeing the dead body.
Right.
And
right.
she can't rectify that, and then she kisses the kid, and that just snaps
Kills
her
her.
from
And then
reality.
she just purposely hits the wrong nose.
She just
and then
hits
just
all the
collapses. And then they just watch her. She just emotionless, just stares at him dead-eyed as she's collapsing to her
well,
death.
no, she gets it. They all get through the bridge.
Yeah, they let him. She
Yeah,
lets
and then
him
she's
go.
Just like,
then she just, and they're like, oh, "Come on, what?"
and
No!
she just impales on the spikes.
Right, just and that's over.
I could see that. I would like to see a Kubrick-directed Goonies.
I'm into this. I'm in, and it solves Cody's problem with the way too much dialogue.
Yeah.
Kubrick brings that down real quick. He fucking.
It's Hearts of Darkness in a cave. It's gonna be.
But then does Richard Donner direct Full Metal Jacket?
Ooh, that would have been. I don't.
It has some lighthearted Vietnam moments.
Yes,
a lot
cute.
of Forrest Gump-ish.
A lot of Forrest Gumpy stuff. He did. That's
that's what
right.
I'm saying.
No, was that Donner who did Forrest Gump? No,
Zemeckis did Forrest Gump.
Zemeckis. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Fuck that.
Zemeckis did. Yeah, it'd be a funner romp through Vietnam.
It
I
really
think.
would. It would be a much more fun.
It'd be more hijinks in boot
I think
camp.
Data helps. If Data makes it out of boot
There'd be a
camp.
sneak out scene in boot camp where they get to go get fast food. You actually see Private Pile sneak out to
right,
get
sneak
fast
out
food,
to get fast food.
and then almost get busted.
God. But one last thing. Pyle kind of goes to Cody's point of that character you love that despite everything, they still can't help themselves. Like with the donut.
Yeah.
He knew that donut was going to get him in so much shit
Yeah.
if he got caught, but he couldn't help himself. He just had to go for it. Like it, man. Oh God, I love both parts of the movie so much, but I think the first part sticks with you more. You know what I mean? Like I think there's
because we've never really seen
like
that.
it's like we have. I think that first part of the movie, just it's so God, and thank God you have you need that at least 10 minutes of nobody dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's why it just jumps into the prostitute. Like me love you long. Hey. Don't chew on Black Widow's thing.
Black Widow.
God, you almost need the me so horny, just weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like halfway comedic scene of
You need
negotiating
a
with the
palate
prostitute.
cleanser.
Yeah, because fuck, it gets so crazy in that band. Well, there we go. So, what are we doing next?
I don't know.
Shit, do we just
Cannonball
tease this?
Run?
That's gonna be so hard to get. We have to do it at some point. We have to.
We'll figure
we
it out.
talked about the Cannonball Run, Midnight Run.
Oh, that's right.
pairing.
I gotta see if I have Cannonball. I think I have Cannonball. I have one or two. I'm not sure which
Do you have
one.
Midnight Run?
I do have Midnight Run.
Maybe let's wait real quick. De Niro and Charles Grodin. What could we pair with Midnight Run that Cody hasn't seen that has either De Niro or Charles Grodin in it?
Fuck.
Wait a minute, Cody. Have you seen Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure?
I have.
Fuck. Oh, so we could go the Danny Elfman route because
Yeah.
he did the score for Midnight Run. We could do a Danny.
We could do Nightmare Before Christmas. Have you seen Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, I have.
So I was thinking
In
Halloween.
pieces.
Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we do scary movies?
Maybe.
Cody, have you seen Exorcist 3?
I have not seen Exorcist 3.
Eddie,
I don't think I've seen that one.
that is almost as good as part 1.
I haven't seen Exorcist.
You seen the first one?
God, I don't know that I've seen it all the way through.
Wait a minute. Do we need to do an Exorcist 1 and 3 for October?
Maybe.
Let's do this. Can we do this? I have. If you need them, I have them both. I'll let you borrow them both.
I've seen Exorcist.
I have
don't
three.
think I've seen Exorcist 3.
I have 3. I think we need to do
But
this.
aren't they supposed to be movies we've seen and Cody hasn't seen?
Well, we can cheat a little.
I don't know. Who's the arbiter of the rules on this? Where's corporate?
Right there.
Jack, what
He's
do you
just
think?
busy chewing on my Black Widow figure.
I think we can do that closer, like at the end of October.
Yes, at the end of
We can
October.
figure it out.
Okay. So what do we do with Midnight Run? I think that should be a good one because we both seen that.
I really want to see Midnight Run too.
All right, Midnight Run and what's another Nero?
48 hours.
Oh, we can do 48 hours.
Cody, you ever seen
Buddy
48
cop
hours?
thing. Yeah, buddy thing.
Buddy thing.
I think I believe I don't remember it super well, so it could
Tango
work.
and
'cause
Cash.
Tango and Cash.
I have not seen Tango.
That's it. Midnight Run, Tango and Cash. We did it. Fuck yeah. My little tango and my little cash. You were going to like one a lot more than you're going to like the other.
You know, I think that's how these things work. Is that I watch one fucking dud
Midnight
and then
Run
one
and Tango
classic.
and Cash.
Tango and Cash and Midnight Run. This has to happen now. All right, we're doing it. Tango and Cash, Midnight Run. Those are going to be the next Good Willow Huntings. Thank you all for tuning in. You know where to find us.
Yes.
Follow all our shit. We'll see you tomorrow with Ramble Radio. We love you guys. Stay safe. Bye.